Hello, my name is Suzanne Condon, and I direct the environmental health programs at the Massachusetts Department of Public Health. The Bureau of Environmental Health has a broad mission of protecting the public's health from a variety of environmental exposures. The Bureau is composed of 9 programs, including the Food Protection Program. Our Food Protection Program strives to ensure a safe and wholesome food supply in the Commonwealth. We accomplish this by working with our federal partners on the development of training and regulatory oversight. We also work with local public health officials, whose inspections are also a key element in food safety. Our goal for this video is to provide local inspectors with an easy guide for implementing a food recall. After watching the video, you should have a good understanding of the food recall process, including the 3 classes of food recalls, common reasons for a recall, and the agencies and parties involved in issuing such recalls. On behalf of the Bureau, thanks for your work on the front lines. We welcome your ideas in helping us protect the food supply in Massachusetts.
I'm Cindy Rice from Eastern Food Safety on behalf of the Massachusetts Department of Public Health's Food Protection Program. There are many reasons for a food recall. The most common reasons are microbiological contamination, the presence of foreign substances or undeclared allergens, and errors in labeling. If there is reason to suspect a health risk at any stage of food processing and packaging, a food recall is ordered. The objectives of a food recall are to protect the public by stopping the sale and delivery of the product in question, informing the appropriate regulatory agencies, and removing the product from the marketplace in a proper and timely fashion. During a food recall, our goal is to work cooperatively with establishments to ensure that recalled products are removed from the shelves of stores and markets, and to segregate these products to prevent their sale and consumption. There have been hundreds of cases of foodborne illness and more deaths each year from foods that are recalled. Recent recalls have affected a wide variety of foods, including peanut butter, ground beef, raw sprouts, and bagged salad greens. Foods are recalled for 3 main reasons. In some cases, a microorganism or hazard has been discovered in a product that may make consumers sick. The second main reason for a recall is an undeclared allergen present in the product, not listed on the ingredient label. And another common reason is the mislabeling or misbranding of food. For example, a package of seafood that lists one type of fish as the contents, but is actually a different species. There are 3 classifications of recalls depending on their risk to the public health. A Class 1 recall involves a product that is reasonably likely to cause serious health problems or death after it is consumed. In the past, Class 1 recalls have included raw ground beef contaminated with E. coli 0157H7 and cantaloupes contaminated with Listeria. Class 1 recalls must be taken most seriously because these foods pose a severe health risk to consumers. A Class 2 recall involves a product that presents a remote possibility of adverse health effects from consuming it, such as yellow dye number 5 or number 6, undeclared in a food product. And a Class 3 recall involves a product not likely to cause adverse health consequences if eaten. This could include a product without an ingredient label in English or in a defective container. There are several ways that potentially unsafe products can be identified. In many cases, the manufacturer or distributor identifies the problem and voluntarily informs the USDA Food Safety and Inspection Service, known as FSIS, or the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, that a potentially unsafe food product has been placed on the market. In other cases, the USDA, FDA, or a state or local regulatory agency may discover potentially unsafe food products during sample testing or routine inspections. In addition, agencies such as the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention or the Department of Defense may report a potential health problem to the FSIS or FDA. Some products are reported by consumers, often as a result of illness. Currently, the recall process is voluntary on the part of manufacturers and processors, although a recall sometimes takes place at the request of government agencies. With passage of the Food Safety Modernization Act in 2011, the FDA has expanded authority to mandate food recalls if necessary. When a defective or adulterated product is discovered, processors and distributors frequently issue recall notices to their customers. These notices contain information that can help identify affected products, such as the geographic scope of the recall, product types, pictures of product packages and labels, lot numbers, UPC codes, and production dates affected. The notices often provide instructions for the retailer on how to handle the recalled goods. Food recalls can be expanded or impact additional products as companies verify their own supply chains and use of recalled ingredients. On a national level, the USDA deals with product recalls for meat, poultry, and whole eggs. The FDA deals with recalls for all other products, including egg products. The FDA or USDA may take the lead role in investigating and coordinating food recalls, or just require that the processor keeps them informed. Most major manufacturers and distributors have extensive recall plans in place, with methods for tracing products throughout the supply chain to facilitate the traceback process. These procedures include notifying distributors and retail customers of the foods recalled and methods for returning or disposing of the product. Most importantly, the producers have to address the cause of the recall to prevent future occurrences. The Food Safety Modernization Act mandates that food producers maintain food safety plans and record-keeping systems to help trace recalled products throughout the supply chain. At the local level, most food establishments learn about food recalls directly through their distributors and manufacturers. Health departments can learn about food recalls in a number of ways, with the most common sources of alerts being government agency websites, email alerts, or the Health and Homeland Alert Network, the HAN, in the case of a foodborne illness outbreak. After receiving a recall notice, retail establishments, including restaurants, institutional facilities, and stores, have a responsibility to prevent the consumption or sale of recalled goods to their customers. Larger chains and box stores often have proactive recall programs in place. They swiftly remove products from store shelves and notify their customers of the recalls. Many stores and markets post recall notices for customers at the registers, on their emptied store shelves, and through the use of their store's courtesy cards. Smaller independent stores and markets present a greater challenge. They don't always receive recall notices and may not even be aware of the recall. Inspectors cannot always assume that a food establishment knows about a recall or is implementing its own recall procedures. In these cases, the inspector's role is critical in ensuring the swift removal of recalled goods. It is essential for local health inspectors to be prepared with a reliable method of receiving recall alerts so you can communicate with establishments and help in the recall process if necessary. Because your time and resources may be limited, you will have to prioritize the food recalls you can focus on. Class 1 recalls require immediate attention as they constitute the highest risk of serious illness, so you should prioritize this class of food recall. This may mean informing store personnel about the recall if they are unaware, as well as helping the operators identify and remove the affected products if necessary. When conducting a recall check at an establishment, introduce yourself to the manager, asking if he or she is aware of the recall of a particular product. Bring a copy of the recall notice with you so you can discuss the reasons for the recall and be as specific as possible. Explain to the manager the health consequences of a person consuming the food, describing symptoms or illnesses that have been reported to date. Tell the manager that the manufacturer or distributor has issued a recall for products that contain certain lot numbers, UPC codes, or production dates. The recall might not affect all of the brand's products, but explain that you are there to verify that the store doesn't have any of the affected products for sale or use. Your inquiry is to protect the customers from purchasing and consuming these foods. It's also to prevent the establishment from being involved in the outbreak during this period. You should refer to the recall notice, including the specific lot numbers, UPC codes, or dates of each of the affected products, so that you can search shelves, refrigeration, and freezer units for products involved in the recall. Being able to determine which products need to be removed allows you to limit the scope of a recall. If you can't identify the specific affected products, you may be forced to remove more products than necessary, resulting in higher financial losses for the establishment. If there are any recalled products still for sale in the establishment, you should request voluntary removal of the products for sale. Products removed from shelves should be segregated from other goods in a separate area and labeled "Do Not Use" or marked with a clear designation that the products are not suitable for consumption or sale. If the products are refrigerated or frozen goods, they should remain in a segregated area of the cooler, clearly marked "Do Not Use" until return or disposal can be arranged. If recalled products were already removed from sale, confirm that the products were segregated away from the retail area and clearly labeled for disposal or return, or segregated until further evaluation of their safety. Remember that removal of recalled products from service is voluntary on the part of the food establishment. If an establishment refuses to cooperate, you should use a standard food establishment inspection report to place the product under embargo in accordance with the current retail food regulations. The Board of Health must follow up with the establishment within 10 days to remove the embargo. Although it's unlikely, if the establishment continues to resist the embargo, the Board of Health should be prepared to go to district court for a so-called libel of condemnation for the embargoed food. Establishment employees are not permitted to remove or dispose of the embargoed food products until the embargo is released by the Board of Health. In the event that disposal of products is necessary, you should document the disposal on a standard food establishment inspection report. Even if the disposal is voluntary, the products should be listed on the report and the report should be signed by the owner. If they refuse to cooperate, an embargo order is called for. In many cases, businesses may be reimbursed for recalled goods by manufacturers, distributors, and even insurance companies, and you might be able to advise them on these procedures. Health departments can conduct a recall check during their routine inspections, carrying out steps for segregating and embargoing of goods if necessary. When requested, inspectors should fill out a recall effectiveness questionnaire provided by the Massachusetts Food Protection Program for the product under current recall. This questionnaire should be specific to a particular food product recalled and the health risk or microorganism of concern. You should note if any recalled products are sold at the store, if any were still for sale at the time of the inspection or conversation with the store, and if the establishment received a recall notice from the supplier. Get a copy of the recall notice if possible. This recall form and any attachments should be faxed to the Massachusetts Food Protection Program at the phone number on your screen. It's not realistic to expect that health departments can inspect every facility during a food recall, but pre-planning can help health departments and food establishments be prepared before a recall occurs. There are a number of actions you can take in advance to help streamline the process. First, be sure to secure a method for receiving food recall notices and alerts for your department from manufacturers, distributors, government agencies, or other reliable sources. Gather information from food establishments during the licensing process or during routine inspections that can be helpful in deciding where to target your resources regarding potential food recalls. For example, become familiar with types of foods they carry, so you can gauge the likelihood of establishments carrying a particular recalled product. Try to gain a sense of their knowledge of the food recall process and the extent of their recall plan, if any. During a routine inspection, you might ask, if you are selling a product that becomes the subject of a product recall, do you have a recall plan or procedures in place? Ask the manager if the business is enrolled in the Rapid Recall Exchange, a service that helps industry communicate and facilitate procedures during a food recall. You may find that the larger companies do have recall plans in place, and it may be the smaller independent establishments that need more assistance. Provide your establishments with a list of recall resources so they will be prepared with recall information should one occur. During the licensing process, collect email addresses and send email alerts out to establishments in your jurisdiction in the event of a food recall, especially a Class 1 event. You can also conduct a recall effectiveness audit during or after a food recall using the state's recall questionnaire to determine how effectively a food operation is managing in the midst of a recall. State and local health inspectors can foster cooperation with management during a food recall by passing along some helpful tips for food operations ahead of time. In addition to the tips I just listed, you can encourage establishments to deal with reputable suppliers and communicate with staff and customers about the recall. These tips can help establishments practice active managerial control regarding the recall process. When inspectors and establishments are proactive, the recall process will be more efficient and successful.
We hope this video has helped you prepare for inspections and effective food recalls in your community. Please remember that the Food Protection Program is a resource for you, the public health community, and facilities across the Commonwealth. On our website, we have additional resources for accurate and up-to-date information on food recalls and foodborne illness outbreaks for regulators and industry. By being prepared, we can streamline our activities, work together towards an effective recall process, and protect the public health.